Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Rollins. We continue our live breaking news coverage of an officer-involved shooting that happened on Fulton Industrial Boulevard shortly before noon today, involving a South Fulton police officer and a Fulton County police officer. That South Fulton police officer is in critical condition. The Fulton County police officer is recovering with minor injuries. Both are at Grady Memorial Hospital. This was a very graphic and violent situation unfolding just outside of a hotel, again on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. That's where the GBI has now taken over this investigation. Our Deidre Dukes has been on scene all afternoon. She spoke to witnesses who saw and heard the graphic moments unfold. Take a listen.
Can you spell that for us?
Quieulaun, last name Johnson.
Johnsson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tell us what you heard this morning.
I woke up to the gunshots. It was a good bit of them, and then when I woke up, I went to the window to see what was going on, and all I seen was a dude running into the hotel room, and it's I don't know if he was shot already, but it seemed like he was, because he fell over, and immediately after he fell over, he put the gun to his own head and shot himself.
So you watched all this happen?
Yeah, I watched it happen from the window, and then shortly after, I opened the door, and that's when all the police officers started flooding in there, getting the tape up, and they asked me what happened. I told them I seen what I seen, and then they just went from there.
Did they clear everyone out of the hotel then, or what happened?
No, they just kind of started calling more police officers. Everybody was just standing around, just watching what was going on. It took them probably about 30 minutes or so to actually cover the body up.
They told us 2 police officers were also shot. Did you see them?
No, I didn't see the police officers, but I did hear that he was shooting at the police officers. And even the guy in the store, that's what he said, that he got pulled over or something like that. And shortly after he got pulled over, he started shooting at them and trying to run over there towards the hotel room.
What was it like witnessing all this?
It's kind of hectic for real. I mean, the people that you care about, hold them closely. And just remember that there's people in this world that don't have nothing to lose. They're willing to go all the way just to prove a point.
If I could just ask you again, you were saying that you heard that possibly some officers were also shot, or?
Yeah.
Okay, what was that?
They said that it was 2 officers involved. They said one of them was severely injured. They're taking him to the hospital. The lady said that they don't know if he's going to make it or not, so they just said to send prayers out for that officer.
Okay, so just tell me what you saw.
Well, I just, there was the officer had detained a man, and when the man got away from the officer and pulled out a pistol and started to fire on him. And at that point in time, the man started looking around at other people, and I was worried I might be a target myself. So I ducked down into the floorboard of my van. So I didn't see much that happened after that. So.
Sounds like everything happened fairly quickly.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. The man fired multiple times. I mean, probably over 9 or 10 shots. Yeah, so people were scattering, and I happened to be driving at the time, so I made sure that I got pulled over in a safe as what I could in the amount of time I had to work with, and I just said a prayer for the officer.
I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I just said the poor officer that got hit was screaming horribly bad, and I obviously prayed for him, and I just hope that it all turns out okay. I haven't heard what had happened to the man.
And of course, this is the second tragedy involving South Fulton Police this week. They lost an officer earlier last week in a traffic accident.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah. I think you definitely want to talk to this gentleman. Yeah. So, sir, kind of take me through it, where you were and where this happened.
Well, I had been, I'd gotten some fuel, and I was going to get back onto Highway 20 over here when the officer that had detained somebody, I believe, I'm not sure why he was talking to him, but he was in the median talking to this man. And, this man got away, and either he pulled out a weapon that he had. I didn't quite see that part, but anyways, he suddenly had a weapon and started firing at the officer, and that's when he started firing not just at the officer, but he was looking around, and people were sort of running around. So anyway, that's when I pulled over, and I kind of didn't see a lot after that. I pulled over and got down in my van so that
And as
you know,
far
I
as
didn't
you
get
know-
hit by any fire since he was.
As far as you know, it was just the one officer who was wounded, or?
That's all that I know. Yeah, that's. I only heard one. I only heard one voice, you know, crying out.
Yeah. And then to see something like that happen out here, you know, in broad daylight.
Well, yeah, it was very. You know, it could shake you up a bit.
Can I get your name, please?
My name is Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy Snow.
Okay, Jeremy Snow, S-N-O-W?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Snow, which vehicle's yours, the van right there?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think these folks would like to talk to you
Do you mind
also.
talking to us too, Jeremy? Thank you.
Oh, no worries.
And again, you were just listening to witnesses recalling the moments of that officer-involved shooting that happened just before noon on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. 2 officers are now being treated at Grady Memorial Hospital. Within the last hour, we've heard from both South Fulton Police Chief and the Fulton County Police Chief. We first want to go to Chief Meadows in that news conference just a moment ago.
It's Keithmeadows, and I'm the Chief of Police with the City of South Fulton Police Department. At around 11:40 this morning, Lieutenant Charles Cook was traveling through the remaining portion of unincorporated Fulton County when he observed a Fulton County police officer engaged in a traffic stop. It was at that point Lieutenant Cook stopped to assist the Fulton County police officer. Immediately after he exited his patrol vehicle, the suspect opened fire on Lieutenant Cook, striking him at least 3 times. Right now, Grady personnel tell us he's in critical condition. We ask for your thoughts and prayers for his full recovery. We've asked the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to come in and investigate the shooting itself. And so we've been in contact with Director Hosey, and he sent his personnel. They've since taken over the crime scene. And at this point, we will be cooperating with the investigation. It's unknown right now if the law enforcement personnel on scene is the one that shot and killed the individual. However, that is currently under an investigation, and we're still in the preliminary stages with regards to this investigation. So having said that, I would be more than happy to take any questions right now.
Chief, can you give us a sense of, did he get a chance to get out of the car? Like,
From what I understand, and this will all be part of the investigation, he was able to get out of the vehicle, and that's when he actually drew fire. I can tell you that I did have a brief conversation with the Fulton County police officer who is here as well. He sustained minor injuries to himself. He said that if Lieutenant Cook hadn't been there, he doesn't know if he would be alive right now. And so that's a testament to his dedication. He was stopping because it occurred just outside of the corporate city limits of the city of South Fulton. And so he was just stopping to actually render aid or render assistance to that Fulton County police officer.
what was going on? Tell us about this location where this happened, or what was actually going on in this.
Okay, so it occurred just outside of the hotel in the 4120 Fulton Industrial, and the officer said that he had seen someone jaywalking in the area, and he's pulled out on a suspicious person stop, and it was at that time Lieutenant Cook actually pulled up, and that's when the shooting actually occurred.
Can you talk a little bit about, it's been a tough week.
Right.
South Fulton. How are you guys dealing with it? How are your deputies? We just talked yesterday.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
You know, it's been a rough week. As you all know, we lost Lieutenant Garcia earlier this week, and now with Lieutenant Cook, we haven't been short on support from everyone throughout the region. Right now, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, along with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office, is assisting us with 911 operations. As you can imagine, a good portion of the police department is down here at Grady supporting Lieutenant Cook at this time. And so the outpouring of support that we've received from many of the agencies in the region has been outstanding, and we're going to continue to build those relationships with these agencies.
Chief, we just stood in front of you yesterday and talked about how you all don't know if you're going to make it home.
Right.
Give us a sense of how his family's here. I think they're around.
Right, and so Lieutenant Cook's family just arrived down here at the hospital, and we were able to make sure that we briefed them. And we talked yesterday just about the simplest task that police officers were engaged in. Well, this officer just simply pulled up on an individual that was jaywalking to have a conversation with him. And it was at that point the individual opened fire on both police officers. And so things can change in an instant. And certainly we're praying for Lieutenant Cook in his full recovery. But, you know, at this point, we're going to let the Georgia Bureau of Investigation further investigate the circumstances surrounding the stop.
Anything you can tell us about the suspect?
Right now, we don't know anything. We've turned everything over to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, to the GBI, and so hopefully as their investigation progresses, we'll learn more.
Was the suspect wound self-inflicted?
I'm sorry?
Was the suspect's wound self-inflicted?
Well, as I said, we're still in the preliminary stages with regards to the investigation, so actually who did the shooting that resulted in the fatal outcome for the suspect is still under investigation, so we don't know that at this point.
Can you talk a little bit about just the officer, how long has he been with the department,
Right.
age, and that type of thing?
Lieutenant Charles Cook has been with the Fulton County Police Department since its inception. He's one of those people that actually came in and helped us to build this organization. Prior to that, he spent most of his career with the Fulton County Police Department. And so he came over during that transitional period.
Chief, I know that you can only speak for your department, but since you do know that the Fulton County officer said that if Lieutenant Cook wasn't there, he may not be alive, can you give us a sense of how he's doing?
He's doing fine. As I said, his wounds were kind of superficial. And so in the conversation that I had with him, he was grateful that Lieutenant Cook was able to stop. We gave him our best wishes as I left his hotel room. I just had a conversation, as I left his hospital room, I just had a conversation with his mother and grandmother who just arrived at the hospital, and they're grateful to Lieutenant Cook as well for his assistance to their family member.
All right, last question.
Talk about how these situations escalate quickly and how you never really know what you're kind of up into.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, you have circumstances where an officer was just engaged in a pedestrian stop for something as simple as a person jaywalking. And before Lieutenant Cook, well, immediately after Lieutenant Cook got out of his vehicle, the gunfire erupted. And so, as you can imagine, I'm sure Lieutenant Cook wasn't expecting that, to happen as fast as it did. Fortunately, Grady personnel has been able to stabilize him at this point, and we're, as I said earlier, hopeful for a successful outcome here.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Is there any indication at all? I know that you guys are in the middle of the probe, but any indication about how many shots were fired? Who was able to withdraw weapons and anybody?
Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to go out to the scene. I'm sure some of my personnel out there has some general idea of exactly what occurred. It's just I haven't had an opportunity to sit down and debrief with them as of yet.
Was Lieutenant Cook or the Fulton County officer, was either of them even able to pull a weapon?
That I don't know. Right. That I don't know.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
And again, that was Chief Meadows with South Fulton Police giving an update within the last hour right outside of Grady Memorial Hospital after 2 officers were injured in a shootout this morning just before noon on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. Chief Meadows saying that his South Fulton police officer, Lieutenant Charles Cook, is in critical condition, but he is expected to survive, all thanks to a Fulton County officer who was also there, who was also shot, who rendered aid, a life-saving tourniquet. He says we spoke to Fulton County Police Chief just moments ago. He's still out on the scene where this all unfolded. Take a listen.
Wade Yates, Fulton County Police Chief.
Okay. And Chief, you can just tell us what you have here.
We had an officer making a stop of a suspicious person this morning, and a City of South Fulton officer pulled up to assist him in that stop. The suspect produced a handgun. There was an exchange of gunfire. The suspect ran off. Our officer gave chase. There was another exchange of gunfire. Then our officer returned to give aid to the City of South Fulton officer. Both officers were injured by gunfire, and both were transported to Grady, where they both are right now.
Okay. I know the chief has addressed his officer. If you just speak to your officer, anything you can tell us as far as possibly how long they've been with the force, how they're doing tonight?
He's a relatively new officer, but came from another jurisdiction, so he has a lot of experience. And one of the things that I was very pleased with is part of our training is tourniquet training, and we issue all of our officers a tourniquet. And we believe that that might have saved the South Fulton officer's life today, the fact that our officer put a tourniquet on him.
And if you could talk about that, because I know Chief Meadows did talk about that a bit, how your officer rendered aid to the other officer.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, he again chased the suspect, had another exchange of gunfire, and the suspect went down. And then our officer immediately returned to render aid to the more injured officer.
And this,
So just to be clear, so your officer actually was wounded and still was able to go help this other officer?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Can you speak on that? That's pretty heroic.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
How does that make you feel as a chief?
Very proud. Very proud.
And again, can you touch on where your officer was hit?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of the injuries right now. I'm not going to get into the specifics of who these officers were. We'll give it some time. You know, let them and their families heal.
They should be okay though?
It's my understanding. They both should be okay.
Do you have any info on the suspect
Yeah.
at this point? Any criminal background? Have you all had any other run-ins with him?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, but also realize, you know, the GBI is here. We're still at the crime scene. GBI investigates officer-involved shootings, and it's kind of their show, and so we're just providing support to them to assist in their investigation.
Chief, when's the last time you had an officer that was injured in the line of duty?
Last time I had an officer injured in the line of duty.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I mean, officers get injured.
How about officer shot in the line of duty? Is this...
The last time we had an officer shot in the line of duty was
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And you were the chief then as well?
I was not the chief then. No, sir. No, sir.
When you get that call as a chief, I mean, I know you can rehearse it in your head, but getting that call as a chief, what went through your mind?
Well, I think getting that call as a chief, being at home, being with my family, and having to come down to it is one thing. I was a quarter mile away when the call came out, so I wasn't necessarily thinking as a chief. I was thinking as a first responder of getting to the scene, making sure it's safe, attending to any injuries, you know, as the perpetrator in custody. That was my mindset. And then I would like to thank all of the local jurisdictions that showed up. At one point, I was in the middle of the crime scene. I turn around and there's at least 100 cars, police cars on both sides of the road, everyone just offering to assist. It was wonderful. And then you kind of kick in a chief mode that, you know, hey, we've got a lot of stuff to do to investigate this, you know, make sure our officers can.
And again, if you're just now joining us, that was the Fulton County Police Chief after we had 2 officers who were shot during a shootout earlier today. We've been following this as breaking news since noon.